Good morning, everyone. Welcome inside the Faith Loop. It is Tuesday, June 3rd, the year of our Lord 5784, or those using the Gregorian calendar, 2025, approximately. Day 2,112,141 of the crisis of identity. And we're going to talk about a subject today that I think is interesting in the sense of, since Jesus arose from the grave, ascended to the Father, I believe, and we've talked about this, Dad has made mention of it on numerous occasions, we've been living in the last days, what we call, everybody uses the last days. And it's always interesting to me how we have to have some kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, I guess, idiom or some, title, for lack of a better way to put it, on something. So all of a sudden it gives it gravitas or something like that. I don't know. But we take something that was just said in a sentence and make it out to be this doctrine. And it had nothing to do with that. Nothing at all. The Hebrews referred to something in our language, it'd be just the world to come. Olam haba. And what do we make of these things? We see a lot of chaos and a lot of just violence and vitriol and hatred and spewing. Even though we all just say, we all get along? Isn't there love? We love. Oh, man, we're just good folks. They're good folks. We're all good folks. But yet, all I see is death and destruction. Vitriol. I mean, you get sideways with something that somebody doesn't, and I mean, it just comes out. And I have to really watch myself and guard my mind that I don't fall into these things. I talked about this in this past month's, in May's Bible study. Being present. What is it to be present? How do we present ourselves, as Paul said, a living offering? Set apart, pleasing, fully agreeable to the determination of life that was given to us by Jehovah. Are we guarding ourselves against such things? Have we put on the full armor? Paul talks about these things in this way, but we say, we got to put on the full armor of God. And we say this as we got to go to war. No, you put it on because the warfare is already there, and it's not against flesh and blood. What is this armor? Paul describes it. He uses physical terminology to describe something that is happening within our minds. Why do you wear the helmet of salvation? What is the helmet of salvation? And these are the things, because Christianity has abandoned so much of the foundation set in place by Jesus, that things like the last days, they've become mythical, haven't they, Dad?
Yeah, no one knows when it's going to start.
When did it start? Has it started? I don't know, man.
I think it started then.
Yes.
These are the last days. They were the last days from Paul's time. It's the last.
From the time Jesus left.
Yeah, it's the last dispensation, if you want to put. I'm not a dispensationalist.
Right.
But it's the last part of God dealing with mankind.
Of the Gentiles.
Of the Gentiles.
Right.
And so when the times of the Gentiles are ended, that's going to be it.
Stick a fork in us.
Yeah, it's going to be it.
Are you done or not?
Yeah, right. So we've been mankind has been living in the last days since Jesus left here and ascended to the Father.
And that's the thing, and we get this from Paul's second letter to his buddy, Timothy. But understand this, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty. And there it is, man. Oh, the last days. There's going to be last days? When's the last days? I don't know. Last days? Oh, my gosh, what's the last days? He just used it, something in a sentence, for crying out loud.
Yep.
We're making movies, and it's just like, oh, my gosh.
I know. Yeah, the seventh sign, all that. Of course, the Gulf of Souls filled back up, so it avoided it.
I know. And, it just, end of days, and dear Jesus. But Paul just said in the last days there will come times of difficulty. Now, why is he saying this to Timothy if they weren't happening?
There haven't been any.
Well, he was writing this for way in the future, for the folks in the future. No, he wasn't. He was writing to Timothy.
And look, they never had any difficult days, did they?
Let me ask you something. I'm going to ask you a serious question. When Paul wrote this letter, do you think he had us in mind?
No.
I agree.
No,
and
not at all.
I know that destroys our sola scriptura, Protestant, Calvinist, Pentecostal, Christian thought process, but it should just go away anyway because it's only about Jesus. Paul wrote this to Timothy for Timothy's sake.
So it's addressed to.
Yeah, he didn't say Bob.
No. No.
I know there's a guy going to be named Bob French. I'm going to write him this letter.
Yeah. In fact, I've never found my name in the Bible anywhere. I don't know.
Can we take this letter that Paul wrote to Timothy and understand things from it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what it's for, isn't it?
It's for instruction, to be sure. But you have to understand, as Brian said, he was writing to these people. He wrote to the Galatians. He wrote to the Corinthians. He wrote to the Romans. They were the ones he was dealing with. Now,
in their time.
In their time. Is it good for us today? Is
Yes.
the same instruction good for us? Absolutely. But the last days, the last times begin then.
Yeah, Papa.
And he's telling Timothy, you're going to have some difficulties. You're going to have difficult times. I know Paul lived in a mansion, drove a Mercedes chariot and all of that. He just had it.
I'll tell you, man, he's flying all over the world,
yeah,
preaching to millions of people.
For a great time. He's wealthy, doing good.
Going to see Caesar all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, bud, how you doing?
Caesar was just all, come on in, man.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think, Paul.
Right. Give me some advice on how to do this. I know we're being facetious, but dear Lord, it gets about that funny.
So in 2 Timothy 3:1, but understand this, in the last days there will come times of difficulty. For people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unpleasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. Yeah, that about wraps it up. When haven't men been like this? That's, to me, do we have some kind of, I don't know, mental block that sometime in the past history people weren't like that? That it's only now because it's the last days, or when the last days come. Well, if we're not in the last days, why do we see all this now? I mean, it shouldn't be this way. Because after all, it's good folk out there.
Yeah.
This is only in the last days. Have the last days started? What's the trigger point? Tell me. Where is it? Well, it's somewhere in the Bible. We don't know, but it will know. You read Revelation, the four horsemen got to show up. They did. Way back there.
Yes, they did.
You know what? There were four horsemen that showed up. Or there were four horses that showed up in the book of Malachi. I think it's Malachi. Might be Micah. Can't remember. One of the two. It's Malachi. I think it was one of the later prophets. Talking about the four horses, red, black,
White,
and pale. They were driving chariots that kept the four winds at bay. Go read it. It's there. How do we see this again in Revelation? Because these are things that have been happening in the earth for a long time.
Yep.
Since man decided to transgress the word and rebel against his father.
You know, the Romans, how can you read the history of the Romans and not understand that most of their existence was sensual?
Yes.
They lived in pleasure. They wanted pleasure.
Very much.
And they took pleasure in people getting killed in the arena and gladiators, and they would cheer and call for more blood and wild animals ripping people apart, and they would cheer, and they'd set up in that, and then they'd go have them a glass of wine and sit around and talk about it, and when hasn't man sought that more than he sought the kingdom?
Well, let's put it into modern perspective.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
When the NFL decided, which like or dislike, to calm down the violence of the game, what has been the reaction to that?
Why don't they just put a core dress on them? And I remember back in the day when we was playing, we killed each other.
And we want to see that. We love, we want to rewind and see the broke leg. I don't, personally. I won't rewatch it. I'm glad in a lot of times sport, the TV announcers and the producers will elect not to re-show something in a heinous situation, which I'm fine with. There's no reason for that. It's terrible.
I saw that guy break his leg in the Super Bowl, and I didn't want to see it again.
Crummer, and they showed that over and over
over
again.
and over and over. And I said, man, I don't want to see that.
Stop.
Take the poor guy to the hospital.
But yet, there's the same example. We have taken away that violence, and nobody likes it. We want the gladiatorial, the destruction of somebody else. We want them to be, he obliterated him. Yep, he sure did.
Case in point, they won't take fighting out of hockey.
They've slowed it down some.
Yeah, they slowed it down, but they haven't taken it completely away.
No, it isn't as violent as it used to be.
Not as you, but
and there was a lot of people that didn't like that.
they don't like it.
No,
That's what they went to see anyway. Went to see a fight. They didn't go to see a hockey game. Went to a hockey game and a fight broke out.
I went to the boxing match and a hockey game broke out. That was it.
Yeah, dead kill.
That's the old joke.
Wrestling.
Yes. UFC.
It's as fake as a plastic Christmas tree. I swear. And they pack out arenas to watch men hit each other with chairs,
cut, bleed,
tear each other up, which they're not really doing.
Well, they are to an extent. I mean, there's some punishment on these guys' bodies.
Well, a little bit, but it's not what people think it is. And they got the blood capsule in their mouth, bite it, and they smear the blood all over. Now they're bleeding, and we had a professional wrestler come to our high school when I was in high school, and in one of the gym classes, he would each class he talked to us, And he was up there and he told us how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
He's a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
He says, "That's what I do for a living." And he told us, he said, it's all choreographed.
Yeah, it is.
And I watched wrestling
And
when I
a
was
lot
young.
of times they'll do certain things in the ring. They'll talk to each other about throws and different things
Yes.
that they're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And but it packs out arenas around the country.
Mm-hmm.
Packs out. Why? We like it. We like
But
to
the
see that
UFC
violence.
is the thing, the Ultimate Fighting Championships and stuff, the just true blood sport.
Oh, that is, yes. And
Gladiatorial
cage
games.
fighting.
That's what it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
the cage fighting. I was talking about professional wrestling.
I know you were.
But yeah, cage fighting.
But I'm talking about
I don't
that.
watch it.
That to me is more that, the wrestling piece. Yeah, you're right. We are that way.
Yeah, they want to see the violence there.
And not just even that, but then the drama behind it and all the nonsense that goes with it, the women and all. It just this continual sensuality.
I don't watch any of it. Cage fighting, I wouldn't watch if
No,
I just don't. Watching a guy just
get beat.
get beat, laying on the floor, just beat and beat and beat, and blood everywhere. No,
And everybody goes, that's fair. Why do we want to see people get hurt? Why?
I don't know.
And then yet, here's the thing. I said this to somebody the other day. And I'm going to say it right here. I go to a lot of high school events. Mm-hmm. We're desperately trying to keep the culture of the kids, don't do drugs, don't, of course, we hand out the condoms now and whatnot, but yet we still try, amnesty to a degree, and this and that. And all the things that the schools are trying to do to keep the kids, and this and that and whatnot. Yet you go to every event and all we're singing is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The hippie drug culture music, man, everybody's just blaring it and whatnot. And now the hip hop, the boom, chicka boom, boom. And we expect what? And I know people go, "Oh, Brian, you're just not." That's just a fact. Yeah, I know this. I was part of that culture for a long time. I was. I don't even remember that person anymore. That person's gone. They don't exist in. My mind is much different. Understanding what truth is, understanding who and what we're supposed to be. I don't want to be a lover of myself or a lover of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unpleasable, slanderous, unpleasable. People can't even please you. You're not pleasable by anything. And we have a society full of people who are unpleasable. That's one I think that's just, but it's true. What was the old saying? Grandpa Fritz used to say, wouldn't be happy if they hung you with a new rope.
Yeah, that's what he always said. You wouldn't be happy if they hung you with a new rope.
You can't please people, period. It's just true. There's nothing that's pleasing about anything anymore.
No.
Slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. When hasn't this been the case? Having the appearance of godliness but denying its power. Oh, we call ourselves Christian. Well, we love God. Yeah. We're a Christian nation. Mm-hmm. For among them are those who creep into households and capture weak women, burdened with sins, and led astray by various passions, always learning and never able to arrive at a knowledge of the truth. Just as James and Jambres opposed Moses, so these men also oppose the truth. Men corrupted in mind and disqualified. See, to me, this is the part that's the most important part here. Always learning, never able to arrive at a knowledge of the truth. Just as Janus and Jambres, he's making a comparison to the minds of people. Not to the people, not to the, standing at the mountain and going this. No, but to the thought, the mind. So these men also opposed the truth. That's why he said that, always learning and never able to arrive at a knowledge of the truth. Neither did Jannes and Jambres. All of that they saw.
Right.
We've talked about this on numerous occasions.
Yep.
How is Jannes and Jambres opposing Moses after coming through the Red Sea, doing all this, and then standing there at the mountain opposing him?
Oh, yeah. Blows your mind, doesn't it?
Jesus has come, rose from the dead, there, whatnot, and yet we still oppose the truth. Why?
I don't know.
See? It's not different, is it?
No.
That's the point Paul's making.
Yes. I agree. I agree. Lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. It's funny the way people look at things. You know, I don't know why we have to try to set things in just time periods. Now, I know there are time periods. I understand that, but we try to put everything. Maybe it's a way of shoving it away from us. Well, maybe we won't get there. Maybe we won't be in it. You know, I don't know. But it's been man from Adam's rebellion. When he rebelled, it's been in man. And so what's different? All Paul is saying to Timothy there is, from now on, you know, this is what you can expect. Mm-hmm. Because this is what happened then, so it's going to continue and probably get worse as time goes on, which it did. But nevertheless, why do we think it's just today and not then? And, you know, no. And everybody still, what happens, in my opinion, is it's really a trick of the enemy. Because instead of preparing ourselves on a daily basis to present ourselves before the Lord, well, you know, when I see that coming, you know, I'll get myself straight. I've heard a lot of people say that. You know, when I see that, you know, I'll get myself straight and I'll, you know. So it's an excuse, isn't it? To keep on doing what we're doing. Well, you know, I'll do this until, you know, when I get old, I'll make a difference. I'll pray or whatever, you know. No.
There was a gentleman not too long ago that we knew that came to a Bible study many years ago.
Yep.
That going to church, as we say, Christian businessman, I don't get nothing from pastors. I don't get nothing. They don't feed me.
Yeah.
You know, I believe in God.
Why do you even go then?
And here's the thing. Okay, even if that's the case, but nothing in your attitude showed you approved. Nothing in what you said showed or brought to bear an idea of belief in Jesus Christ. And yet you're saying, I don't get nothing from them. Arrogant, self-righteous. And Brian, you can't judge. Yeah, it's not a matter. Yes, I can. I can make decisions about what I hear from people. Because, as Paul did, why did Paul tell those people in Corinth to throw that man out of the congregation? Why? Did he judge him?
Careful.
I'm just tired of nonsense. Why did Paul do that? And he said it. So maybe the destruction of his soul will be his salvation. What did he mean by that? Well, we see the devil is going to destroy him, and this is where doctrines get made. And no, it's the same thing we're talking about here. Paul said, put him outside it. Tell him he's got to understand this is wrong. This is not behavior. And if we continue to condone this, if we just welcome him back into the community of believers after such a long time, and he just keeps doing. At some point, you got to say, this is wrong, and we're not going to continue to fellowship with you if you continue in this behavior. It's wrong. We're not willing to do that. And then if he shows repentance and comes back, then you do that. And that's what Paul said for the destruction of his soul. We're not dualists. His soul is just who he is as a person, his being, him, his flesh, his mind, his character, the whole being. How many times do we say, man, I had to hit rock bottom before I could understand I was wrong? Sometimes that's the way it works. And that's exactly what Paul's talking about. He didn't want the man destroyed. That didn't save him. But if he's put outside and he comes to the understanding that what I am doing is going to be the destruction of my soul, of me, I better change this. Sometimes you just got to come to it that way. You know the truth. You've heard it. This is wrong. But we don't, that's just a practical application. It's not this particular doctrine of the church that we got to go to hell first and we can be saved out of purgatory because we were for the destruction of my soul. I just wish we would think and watch the fruit of things. If you watch me and you look at me and you say, Brian, I think that's wrong. Okay, let's talk. We'll have a conversation. We have to, and we have to be willing to think that way.
I think what Paul meant there, if you put it in language that we use today and actually translate it properly, it would just be Paul saying, put him out so that his flesh can be destroyed, what he's doing, what his actions. Said this isn't even heard of among the Gentiles, what he was doing. So put him out so that he might recognize what's going on and destroy that old man. Get rid of it, that his flesh might be saved. Nephesh, not soul. That his flesh might be saved, that he might be a full being again. But not, we read that like, well, God's going to kill him. No. And then in death, his soul will be saved. Well, not if he doesn't repent, not if he doesn't change. So Paul did that to get the man to repent.
We're not willing to do that.
No, recognize what you're doing and repent.
But Dad, we're all broken.
Oh, I know. We're broke down.
No. If you're broken, you're lost. If you're broken, you're not whole. You're not complete. And Jesus said, be therefore complete, even as your Father in heaven is complete. So that's the goal. And we can be that way in mind and character at this point. That's the testing ground. As we await the renewing of this flesh into immortality. That's the point of this.
Yeah. Adam was broken. He broke himself. Okay, do you want to stay that way? Is that what you want? Because if I'm broken, that's what you're saying. Mm-hmm. That's what we say. I'm broke. I'm broken. Well, then fix it. You know, you got a car sitting out there, it's broke. Well, it's going to stay broke unless you fix it. Do you want it broken or do you want it fixed? To where it runs and takes you where you want to go.
Wait a minute. It's beautifully broken.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it can't get me to work.
It's just sitting out there being humble.
Dear
my
Lord.
car's very humble. It's out there. It just broke all the pieces. A humble car.
So is that the point of the last days? Is that where I don't know. That's what I mean. All of this stuff gets serious. This is what Paul's talking about, the things that we're discussing.
Yes.
This is what Paul's talking to Timothy and talking to him through. And if you go through this whole letter, these are the things that he's addressing. For among them are those who creep into households. We talked about that. Just as, we said that. Opposed to truth, men corrupted in mind and disqualified regarding the faith.
Yep. Pretty plain, isn't it?
Men corrupted in mind and disqualified regarding. Wait a minute. I thought it was only the flesh. No, the body follows the mind. Your body doesn't move without your mind. Do you ever see anybody that is in the hospital and codified as brain dead? Does the body move?
Nope. Nope.
But I thought you'd think with your heart just does what it thinks. I heard somebody tell me that they have proven that the heart thinks. No, your heart pumps blood.
And usually if they're that way, they're on a respirator and everything.
I'm going to tell you something. You want your heart to do what it was created to do.
Yes, you do.
Just saying. Men corrupted in the mind. So what is the mind? It is the seat, the center of the being, the heart of all that you are is here. Without a brain, it just don't matter. Well, that's what the scarecrow. I'd like to have a brain.
If only had a brain.
Men corrupted in the mind, disqualified. They are disqualified. This is what this means when Paul was talking about in Romans 1. He uses we have a different word here, but he said reprobate. Oh, they're just reprobate. And so all we get is visions of some lewd, seedy place where people are naked and running around drinking and whatnot. No, that's not the word reprobate. The word reprobate there is, we use it and we translate it, it just means unapproved. It's an unapproved mind. Just like this mind is disqualified regarding what we're supposed to be convinced of.
Right.
Which is the truth of Jesus Christ coming back into completeness and wholeness. But they will not go very far, for their folly will be plain to all, as was that of those two men. And that's where I'm coming to. Because I think folly is on full display if you understand the truth. Would you agree?
I agree.
I heard this today and I was commenting, and this is really, I'd read this, I had this in place, and I'm coming to the office this morning and I'm listening to the radio, and a tragic event just happened in Boulder, Colorado. Tragic.
Yep.
And everybody's surprised.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. Oh, we're outraged. What part of death to America, kill all the Jews from the river to the sea, don't we understand? And then we act all outraged and just unbelievable. I can't believe it. I mean, that's folly.
Yeah.
It's on full display. And I listened to the DA, and the words are incredulous to me. They're just like, this man has no, in my opinion, these are supposed to be smart people. And they are. Here's the thing. They are intelligent people, but they're right here. They're this. Their folly's on full display. This man showed no remorse, and we got a $10 million bond on him. Well, yeah.
What's your first clue?
He showed no. Yeah, he showed no remorse. That's because that's what he believes, man.
Yeah, it's what he went to do.
But, and then there was the other part, this man sitting here and his daughter's in high school in Colorado, in another city away from Boulder, and he was just waiting on this. He was planning this. He said it took me about a year to plan it. I knew where they were and what they were doing. But I wanted to wait till my daughter graduated from high school. It is on full display, folks. The folly of mankind. It's just beyond measure, Dad.
Yeah. And this guy, see, he's not nuts. He's not crazy.
No.
Family, working, job.
Daughter's in high school.
Yeah.
Graduated.
Wait till she graduates, and then I'll go kill me some people. You know.
And we go, oh, he's
So
just
he's crazy. No, he isn't. No, he isn't. He's not crazy.
That's a belief.
Yeah. He set out to do what he's going to do. And, then, as Brian said, we all sit around and act surprised. Ain't nothing surprises me.
No.
Because man is capable of anything. I've said it for years. If you can think about something, man's done it somewhere. Mm-hmm. It's been done by a man someplace. Mm-hmm. Read history. Read history. And if you read history, don't just read about, Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. And read the history of the kings, history of these men, what they actually did, what was practiced. They glorified slaughter. They did. They would take the people they captured, kings or whatever, and parade them through the streets. And the people would cheer and everything. The Romans did it all the time. They would bring their captives back to Rome, and the people would cheer. And many of them they'd put into the arena. And they just, and we'll, look at, that guy, that gladiator, look at him, man, he's, look at that emperor. He's a great guy. Oh, yeah, he's a great guy, all right. As long as he likes you and as long as you don't say nothing to him that he don't like. What part of that don't we understand about the nature of man?
We don't. And I know there's the old saying, those who don't remember whatever the quote is, remember history, doomed to repeat it, all the nonsense. Had nothing to do with that. It has to do with character and nature. You're going to act as your Father acts. And that's what Jesus said that day to the Pharisees.
Yep, he did.
Not because he was trying to just cut them wheel. Yeah, get them.
No. Tell them the truth.
It was the truth. And you could say that to a lot of people in the world today. I know that we don't want to. And I don't say this to go, oh, you people better do. No. But he said that to the Pharisees because he wanted them to understand their mindset. He says, no, you're not of Jehovah, because that was the argument. We have fathers. Abraham is our father. You're of your father, the adversary. Says the devil, just means the adversary. From the beginning, he was a murderer. Well, who did he kill? There was no physical act perpetrated, as far as we know. All we understand is that death came because of one man. So and that's what Jesus said in the Beatitudes. You say, do not kill. I tell you that if you hate your brother, you've committed murder in your heart, in your mind. There's that already, because your body doesn't act without your mind. And that's the great line in Silence of the Lambs. How does one begin to covet? By what he sees. And what did they see every day? The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It came to them day after day after day. We always thought, in that one moment, no. This was a continual pressing. There was no such thing as what we call time then. We have to get out of this narrative that we've created in order to see the truth of things. And in this nation, we continue to perpetrate it. It's like, I don't believe much of what's said in the news. I don't care who says it. This drone attack in Ukraine, that Ukraine perpetrated on Russia. The president of Ukraine is a clown. He was a comedian. He was an actor. That doesn't mean he couldn't think or anything like that. But this is what he was. He was installed in a coup perpetrated by the United States of America. We all know this to be a fact. And yet, we're supposed to believe that all of a sudden he's got this technology that can remote all this stuff and these drones and destroy all this in Russia? Okay. Good luck with that. But we didn't. I can't believe that. No, that was a veiled threat from the United States of America to Vladimir Putin. That's exactly what that was. To get them to the peace table.
Destroyed a third of their nuclear capability.
Yep. And said, this is what we can do. And that's exactly what it was. I'm sorry. People, I just am tired of being told, the sky is purple. Oh, yes. Yeah, it's purple. Yeah. I just am tired of people that are just full of lies. That's what this world is. This is what the world is. Lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy. This has been since then and before. But in these last days, there will be difficult times. You know why? Because they won't want to hear what we're saying.
No, it makes them mad, boy. Talk like this. You bet it does.
If you're feeling these things, you ought to check yourself. I have to check myself. Dad has to check himself.
Yep.
We talk about these things quite a bit, don't we, Pop?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's an everyday, all-day thing. It isn't. You don't go to an altar, cry and bawl, and get up and you're saved. You don't go to a baptismal and get baptized, splashed on your head, and the sign of the cross made, and that takes care of it. No. You must be born again. All right. Everybody starts life as a baby. And we're supposed to be trained up by our parents. Not beat, not screamed at, trained by our parents. That we have to act a certain way, that this is the best way to do it. This is the best way to go. Mm-hmm. Which is very seldom done anymore. In the old days, it was spankings. Today, it's just, bless the heart, the little lovely thing. He can do what he wants to do. He'll grow out of it. No, he won't. No, he won't. So, here we are in this idea of what we think being a Christian means.
Right.
No, this is a personal, everyday walk with the Lord. Every day. And you have to take care of it every minute of the day. You have to remember who you are. You have to remember how you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to act, and you have to do that. This is something that we do, not something that we just say, well, I went to that altar once and that take care of it. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because a baby's born and a baby has to be trained. When we're born again, we have to be trained. Paul talks about this expressly. He said, desire the sincere milk of the word. He says that to babies, newborns. But he says now, he said, you need to come off of milk and start eating some meat. So in other words, there's a training. But now when we get to the meat, now we're going to have to understand that what we learned in that training, we're going to have to practice every day. Practice it. Not just talk about it, well, you know, I'm a Christian. Well, good. Are you a born-again believer? Do you actually every day get up in the morning and know who you are and live that every day, all day long, 7 days a week, 365 days a year? Do we slip once in a while? Yeah, but if the training is there, it comes to the mind that quick. And you say, well, no, I shouldn't.
And
no.
we don't slip on that same banana peel.
No. And you say, no, I got to stop. No, I can't.
And I won't do that again.
Right. Not going to do that.
That's where training.
That's training. Well, isn't that true of any, like sport? You've coached. You've taught kids how to play baseball. Okay, you watch for tendencies in kids, right? If they have a tendency to do something that actually makes it wrong, then you deal with that, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know,
Correct it.
yeah, you're looking at this wrong. You need to do this. You need to stand this way. Or you need to do this.
You correct the behavior.
To correct the behavior so that they can play the game.
Absolutely.
Because some people, they can't do it, and they'll never be able to play the game.
And the reason why, folks, is because we have been in the last days since Jesus ascended
Yep, long time.
to the throne of his Father. And that's just a fact.
I believe we're in the last hours of those days.
If you want to put it that way.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been since then.
But that's why this is so important, because the last days have been since then. They have been. And we hope that this helps you understand things. We hope that it makes you think about it.
Yep.
Go look. Be diligent in your life today. Present yourself. How do you present yourself before the Lord and before men? Is it in the righteousness of Jesus? Being fully complete in mind and character, so that people know who you are as a person? Or are we just playing Christianity? It's a good question. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day in the Lord. Always remember to give love
And give life.
and give Jesus.